The first critical choice that I made on my journey to enduring success was to pick up the phone when my sister called, which you very much know about. What
Mm,
I learned when I made that choice to pick up the phone, what I learned is that success begins with making a first choice. Nobody can choose for us.
right.
That was a profound choice action for me. But since then, I've made a series of first choices that aren't quite as profound. They're more practical. What I'd like to know will you share one of your first choices that when you reflect on your life that you made that really impacted your journey here?
I I can think of two um, that are important to me for very different reasons. But I know we're
Give
a
me
big
both. Give me both. I want both.
okay. Well, I'll start with with one of the calamitous ones. So I had built a startup company outside the Boston area, in the
Mhm.
Boston area in the sort of early 90s, and with several friends from college, actually. And so I had three other co-founders and myself. And my three co-founders died in a tragic plane accident. And a very, uh, it was really calamity because I had just been with them, and we had decided to meet. We met twice a year because one of them we had a West Coast office and then East Coast folks. And so we'd meet in the middle of the country. And that particular year, we decided to meet in New Mexico, which is where I'm from, in Santa Fe. And it was this time of the year. I always remember this because it was at March Madness, and two of them were basketball nuts. And so I just left them because I had to go back and see a client. And I took a red eye back, got off the plane, and got the news. Um, and so I think the choice at that time that I made was um, to fully embrace the pain of the loss, right? To not try to brush it under the rug. Like I was going to act in a way that I hoped the guys would respect. Like it was really important to me that they were still around, but they weren't. Um, and that I would treat everybody in the families and everybody in the firm, find good homes for all the people, like all of that, because that's what they would have wanted. So I made a choice that I was going to put myself second, but not so much the grief. Like I'm like, I'm not going to be grieving. No, I was grieving them the whole time. Um, but it caused me to see a path forward, and it caused me to be open to advice from very kind people that I might not have otherwise listened to. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I was just kind of in shock. You know, truth, I was in
Yeah.
shock. I didn't know I was in shock, but lo and behold, somebody later said, "Well, you're in shock," and I said, "You're right, I am." So I think the choice. I don't think I was particularly smart in it. I just think it just came to me. Um,
Can
the
I
other, yeah,
before you go to the second one, and I'm only coming over the top because before you go to the second one, the
yeah,
thing that struck me about what you shared, you actually articulated through a heart-wrenching story, by the way, when you shared that with me first. I just now forgot about the punch in my stomach until you said it again. But you articulated your first choice was to embrace the hurt, which then led to being there for everyone in the firm and the families. And the domino effect that occurred because of the first choice that you made
yeah.
enabled those other choices to come along the way. And thank you for the beautiful story to bring that home. Now tell me the second one.
It's a hard story to tell, but
Yes.
um, the second one is totally different. It's more of a personal story. So I have an incredibly close relationship with my mother, but we also were at loggerheads for many years. Because growing up Hispanic, Catholic in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and being first generation college educated, it was an enormous sacrifice for my parents, and my mother in particular was just completely devoted to us and our success. And in our family, it's priest, doctor, engineer, lawyer, like that was the order of things, right? And so she figured I was not going to be a priest pretty early on, but she was hoping for the others. And
so you let her down.
I totally let her down, and so when I wasn't, she was like, "And you're not going to even be a lawyer?" This was a hard thing for her. What is a consultant?
Right.
A consultant. It took me until I got when I did a couple corporate jobs at Adobe and Microsoft. And that was like 10 years ago. It took me like 20 some years before she finally felt calm that I had an okay job. My poor mom. But at one point I finally realized that we were kind of talking past each other. And and I had young children, and I really wanted them to know how wonderful my mother was, and that wasn't happening. So I said to her one day, and I don't even quite know, Trish, how I got to this, but I said, I want to have a conversation with you, and I want you to know that I choose you exactly as you are. Just like that. I don't want to talk about the past. I don't want us to feel bad about anything. I choose you exactly as you are. And from that moment forward, everything changed. Everything changed. And we've been like super, super, like we always were. Like she would call me during the bad things would happen, tough things would happen. A family member would die or be hospitalized or something. She'd call me and we talked through it. But it just changed the nature of everything since then, and we have just a beautiful relationship now.
And your children's relationship with her.
Yeah. Oh my God, she's such a cheerleader. It's just amazing. Like my youngest daughter just got, she's a graduate student at Berkeley, and she won a postdoc at Dartmouth, fellowship and postdoc at Dartmouth. Yeah, it's really cool. So she'll be here in the fall through for 2 years. Oh my God, my mother was like sending pictures and how wonderful, and she's so talented and so beautiful, and but she's almost too effusive. Yeah, no, they're great, and she's great with all the grandchildren.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Choose and Become interview series. To check out more episodes, go to www.trishkendall.com/podcast, or go to any of your favorite podcast channels, including YouTube, under Trish Kendall Speaks, and you'll find this interview and more. Choose and become.